Colleagues, following extensive discussion, the Transportation Telecommunications Committee adopted an amendment which adds a new section to the bill. The section added is Section 60-484, which governs the issuance of temporary operator's license and state identification cards to individuals who are non-citizens. The applicant must submit appropriate immigration documents to the DMV which shows that their stay in the United States is authorized and temporary. This section currently provides that a license or ID card issued is to be valid only during the period of time that the individual is authorized to be present in the United States, and if there is no definitive end to the period of authorized stay, then the card is to be valid for 1 year. A temporary license or ID card shall clearly indicate that it is temporary with a special notation on the front of the document and shall indicate the date on which it expires. A temporary license or ID card shall be renewed only upon the presentation of evidence that the status by which the individual qualified originally has been extended by the United States Department of Homeland Security. The Transportation and Telecommunications Committee amendment adds new language to this section, which provides that an individual who has been issued a license or ID card based upon lawful status determination under Section 202 of the Federal Real ID Act of 2005 and later has that status terminated shall return the operator's license or ID card to the Department of Motor Vehicles. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, colleagues. I would ask your adoption of the committee amendment. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Smith. Mr. Clerk.
Mr. President, Senator Groene would move to amend the committee amendments with AM 1620.
Senator Groene, you're recognized to open on your amendment to the committee amendments.
Thank you, Mr. President. Looking at this bill, and I understand we're the last state in the nation, and it's probably inevitable that we do this. But I looked at the bill, and it's not clear that these individuals, for whatever reason, are here. That it's not clear that they're not citizens, that they are visitors. They are citizens of a foreign land. And I'm not going to insult Mexico or Guatemala or any other country or Cuba or Germany or Ireland where I came from and say that that citizenship is not a good citizenship to have. But they are here because their parents brought them. And they are here by an executive order, not by a congressional edict. So we need to keep it a separate license. Not a license, but a privilege, a driver privilege. We talked to the cattlemen, some other organizations, and they said the Utah bill was good. Iowa has a good bill. Kansas isn't so great. Colorado has one. Where we differentiate the license to say, I gave a handout and also photos of some licenses, but basically I'll read the handout. First, I want to make clear we are not canceling out Senator Norquist's bill or Senator McAllister's priority bill. We are adding to it. All of their original language is there. The amendment from the committee is also there. What we were doing is adding some clearer language. We did research within the Department of Motor Vehicles. We asked their legal counsel, what is the best way to do this? They didn't endorse anything we did. They didn't tell us what to do. We contacted them as a public entity for guidance. We started out with the Utah bill, and I think Senator McAllister, that email, I've seen that email. That individual is referencing the original amendment that we had in bill writing. We never dropped it here, but it was still in bill writing, so I don't know how they got a copy of it. But anyway, maybe I gave it to Senator McAllister. I probably did. I shouldn't say that. But it was public knowledge. But her comments are on the, and it was very expensive what we were doing what we're doing now will be just within their cash funds of what they do. They pay for a license, and that money is used to create this license. But it makes it clear that if you are here by lawful presence, not by lawful status. Big difference. Talking an executive order that is still in the courts. They're caught in a bind, these individuals. We allow them to work, show that they are here by legal lawful presence to law enforcement, but they cannot use. It is clear that that ID is not to be used to apply for any government assistance or for legal identification. It is just to show that you have the ability to drive a vehicle. Now, you can't, according to what we found with this, you cannot apply for CDL to drive a truck because that's federal regulated, interstate, and we can't change that, so it'd have to be a federal law to allow them to have a CDL. I gave you a handout showing what now a person walks in and shows those two licenses, say limited term versus operating license. And we have limited term for those people who are political refugees, people who are here as foreign exchange students, individuals, there's a whole list of them. They have a deferred status, not a deferred presence. Difference. We've been doing that for years. But those operators' licenses are very similar, and I believe this, we've added the limited term and stuff through the 2012 bill that Senator Fisher did back then. And the second page shows what Utah does. The driver privilege card. Clearly visible that it's not for valid identification for Utah government government entity. It's very clear that this is a privilege, that we are granting visitors to our land. If they want to be citizens, I'll help them. I'll give them some GED classes. I'll volunteer if one comes to me in North Platte and I got a little time. And when they pass that citizen test and they get sworn out because we feel we should pass those privileges around. They're not ours to pass around. We must do it right. We must make it clear that to be a citizen is a privilege, a big privilege of the greatest nation in the world, the freest nation in the world. And in every other country in the world, they'd be kicked out. They wouldn't even be given a bus ticket. Europe is lenient, but they don't give citizenship. They don't give privileges. But this is fine. These kids didn't have no fault of their own. You got to look at that too. But a drive-in privilege card is the right way to do it. It's not near as expensive as what our original amendment that the former DMV lady contacted Senator Kalski. I forgot your name. I used to work with you. But anyway, this is the right thing to do. If it's going to pass, let's do it right. There's 5 or 6 other states that do this. Senator McCollister's correspondence with the former DMV director. We talked to the present one, and we talked to the legal counsel. We made this the way it should be. It does not distract that they will have a ability to drive in our state, but it clearly identified who they are and why they're here, and why, as a generous country, our president said they have a presence here. But that could change. We also added a date. As of this date that you have legal presence, so that it can't be added to by another executive order. We would have to go through this body to add anybody to this privilege to drive in our country. But it makes our roads safer. It makes sure they have insurance. I am basically against the whole thing, but I understand the need to do something.